Hey there, and welcome to another edition of the Styles Cast. I'm Wes Styles here for Rock 96.7, joined today by Mr. Chris Daughtry, and here he is right now. How are you, sir?
I'm great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I love the setup of your room. Where are you right now in your house?
Yeah, this is my office or nerd room. Got all my Batman statues and artwork and everything. I got some plaques in here too and a few guitars, but
I love it, man. That is a
yeah.
great room. Is that now, are those artworks in the back, are those yours or somebody else's?
Some are mine and some are Jim Lee, some are David Finch. Yeah, got a bunch of stuff in here.
That is fantastic, man. I love that Deadpool back there, by the way, that statue.
Thanks, man. That was a gift from old Chad Kruger.
Really?
Yeah, we on our last tour together, we were touring Europe, and I think we were on our last song of the night or something. It was the last show of the tour, and this thing they wheel it out while I'm singing, and I turn around, I'm like, what the hell is this? It had like unicorn balloons all over it.
That had to be quite interesting to haul home then.
Well, yeah, he ended up shipping it in some huge wooden crate in pieces. And this thing showed up, and I had to get the drill out. I had to work to get this thing out, so he made me work for it. Yeah.
I had talked to Mike the last week. Of course, they're celebrating the 15th anniversary of their album, All the Right
Yeah.
Reasons. Today getting released, man. You're back in the rock world now with this new track, World on Fire. It's got to feel good to be back in rock, and I'm using air quotations because you never technically left.
It feels better than you think. This has been the record I've been wanting to make for a long time. Not specifically this song, but just this style of record. And you know, there's a lot can be said about having freedom, and being on your own label now, and uh, not having any outside influences in your ear on what you should be doing. And we didn't really focus on, when we started making this record, we weren't really focused on, oh, we got to write a radio hit, we got to write this, we got to do this. We were just writing from the heart, and it came out, better than we anticipated. So it's good to be back.
Well, it's good to have you back. You're on the chart now with World on Fire. As you said, you weren't worried about writing a radio song, and you wanted to write the record you wanted to write for quite some time. Now that you're independent, you're on your own, making these decisions. Is there more pressure on you personally now to, I guess, succeed?
Sure. I mean, I don't really. I've had a really bad habit of putting all that pressure on myself for years, and it gets to a point where you start to second guess everything you do. You go down this rabbit hole of self doubt, and I was kind of sick of doing that. And I was like, you know what? This is what I do. This is where I feel comfortable. Um, and this was the music that made me a fan and wanted to be a musician in the first place. So and it's certainly been very evident that this is where I belong after releasing this song and seeing the fans' response, and the response from people like yourselves and other rock stations that are just like, welcome back. And it feels really good to just be doing what comes natural.
So has the process changed at all for you in writing songs or making this record? Because obviously COVID's changed things, but as a
Yeah.
whole, working on the record.
Well, from the get-go, I picked who I wanted to work with. I've been writing songs with Scott Stevens and Marty Fredrickson for a long time, and going back and looking at some of the older records that we had worked on, like I felt like those guys really got me as an artist and understood where I really shine, and I wanted them to produce the whole album. So we've been keeping it really close to the chest with that, and keeping a tight team of us working and keeping it consistent. And we got about halfway through the record, writing wise, and before everything kind of, for lack of a better term, went tits up. And we just did this virtual tour live stream tour. So now that we've wrapped that up, we're trying to get back in the studio, and it doesn't help that half of our guys are on, in different states, so it's hard to get everybody together. And we actually, when we were tracking World on Fire, I'd already had my parts done, so we didn't have the band on it yet, and we just sent everything to the guys, and they did their parts in their own respective studios, and it worked out great. So we at least have that option if we can't get everybody back in the room together. We can still plow forward and keep writing and recording my parts and then get them to do theirs. But so we anticipate getting this record done, hopefully middle of next year, and ready to get out. But we've got a lot recorded already, so we're not, we're not completely at a standstill.
Well, that's good. But I assume though that you're not a fan of having everybody outside in their own separate parts. You want everybody in the room together, so you have all the
Yeah, I
vibe.
mean the part of me, the OCD in me that wants to control everything, obviously wants everybody in the room so I can be like, no, don't play that, play this. But there's also some freedom in not having me, looking over everybody's shoulder, and the producers doing that as well. And I think that also gives them the freedom to kind of self edit and you know play like shit without anybody criticizing them, and then coming up with the stuff that they're happy with. And there were some parts that we didn't have them do, that they kind of sent in some stuff that we weren't anticipating. We're like, oh, that's actually even cooler. So there's good sides to both, but what I love about having us in the room is just sharing that experience together, um, and that camaraderie, and really being able to kind of bounce ideas off of each other. And maybe I'll have a melody in my head, like, oh, for my lead guitar player or whatever, like, try this riff out or whatever. So there's pros and cons to all of it, but we roll with the punches that 2020 has dealt, and there's been no shortage of punches. Just keep on getting back up, and trying to work our way around it.
Definitely, for sure. Talk to me about Marty Fredrickson. Obviously, he's helping you out with this record. You worked with him in the past.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the working relationship you have with him, because he has done, he's worked obviously with you in the past, but also many other great artists, Aerosmith,
Yeah.
Ozzy, Motley Crue. Talk to me about the workflow and how you guys do not only just the production, but also writing together.
He's probably the most zen dude I've ever worked with. He just brings out this natural flow of creativity that maybe only Marty can. He's such a open-minded guy when it comes to writing songs, and there's no such thing as a bad idea, and until you get in the booth and you realize it's just not working. But Yeah, I've always loved working with him. Anytime we've ever written together, I don't think we've ever written a song where I was like, that's garbage. It may not have done well or may not have made the record, but I've always been really proud of the things that we created together. And I feel like he really understands, me, where I come from musically, and what what I like and what I don't like. And and the same with Scott. Scott really gets that modern rock world better than anybody, I think. Um, and he's all about, both of those guys are all about singing, all about the vocal, the melody, the does it say something? Does it engage you? Does it make you feel anything? And that's, for me as an artist, I've always been drawn to the singer. Um, no matter what the style of music is, if the voice captures me, I don't care what they're saying, as long as it sounds good, I'm in. And that goes for a lot of the stuff I grew up listening to. Like, I never knew what the hell Maynard was talking about, but I loved everything that came out of his mouth. And the same with, Soundgarden and Alice in Chains. I was always listening to the how that melody hit me, and the right melody over the right chord progression, and then the lyrics were always kind of secondary for me. But as I got older, realized that I had to be saying something. I started paying more attention to, the greats like Fleetwood Mac and Aerosmith and, Elton John and Bernie Taupin, and just that style of storytelling really influenced me a lot. Led Zeppelin, So yeah, I think they get that and have really brought out that side of me in a big way. So really, really stoked to be working with them.
Are all these songs that you're working on new ones, or are they stuff that you kind of had in the vault for a while?
We've kind of revived or resurrected a few songs from the last writing sessions from Cage to Rattle that we had started on, that felt like had some potential. But most of the stuff we're writing now is right out, is fresh out the can. So uh, we start with like going through some song ideas, some riffs that maybe they have kind of piling up, and seeing if they jar up any ideas or conjure up anything. With World on Fire, we were just in the studio talking about what was happening in the world, and at the time, that was in January, there was Australia was burning,
Mhm.
and there was certainly no shortage of police brutality and racial injustice even then. So we were, just on Instagram, just like, oh my God, there's just bad news everywhere. And we just started, we just said like, man, the world's on fire. And we're like, oh, that's a great title. There's the title. And I remember, I don't know if I can swear on here or not, but um, uh, can you, or
Yeah, no, you're fine.
okay. We were going through this folder that Scott had, and there was a track that said "Fresh as Fuck," and we were like, "What's that?" and it was the opening riff to "World on Fire," and we were like, "Oh, there's something really cool there." And it just started happening. Like the lyrics started happening, and me and Scott were writing the story out, and uh, and Marty as well, and it just was this flow of it just kind of wrote itself with. And then this was way before COVID, way before the George Floyd situation, and fast forward to March, we were like, man, how did we? It's like we brought this to life somehow with some self-fulfilling prophecy or
You are now the prophet.
crystal ball. And yeah, it was like evident that this had to be the first single.
The prophet Daughtry. I don't want to know what's on the rest of the record then, because now you're going to bring doom to the world.
No, now we got to write a song that everything's okay.
Everything is grand and
Yeah.
sunshine and flowers, and that's
So
awesome.
yeah, but we've got a lot ready to release and more to write. So
Well, you just, like you mentioned, wrapped up that live at home tour. You got one. It's not a live at home tour date, but you do have another show coming up. It's with, if I believe correctly, with the Download Festival,
yes, yeah,
and
coming up on the 9th.
yep, with Lizzie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love her. Been wanting to work with her a while. We toured together back in the day, and we just never been able to collaborate on anything. So excited to finally get to share the stage with her, and hopefully, who knows what'll come of it.
Are you guys just gonna freeform it and do it, or are you gonna meet beforehand and talk about what to do?
We got a little rehearsal coming up, so
Okay.
we got some songs worked up, at least in theory. So we're gonna maybe do some of ours, maybe a couple covers, do one of hers, and yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Cool. And then tomorrow, you're also, I know you got this one coming up, the Mean Girls uh project, Thirst Project Telethon that you're a part of tomorrow. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm my brain's spinning right now. I don't even know everything that we're doing for it right now, but got so many things in the works right now. Yeah, a friend of mine is involved with that heavily and reached out, and was glad to be a part of it.
Cool. Well, that's going down tomorrow. And of course, then, as we've mentioned, the thing with Lizzie coming up for the Download Festival. And you are super stoked, I know, about Download Festival. Should it happen next year? It was
Yes.
this year. You were on that. You're still on
Yeah.
next year. But man, what a lineup. And you're on it.
Yeah, I saw, we were so excited to finally get on it this year. And when everything got canceled, I was like, oh my God, they're gonna totally take us off the bill when they rebook this. They're gonna like, oh, finally, we announced them, but now we don't actually have to have them. And when they re-announced it, we were still on there. I was like, yes. I'm so pumped, man. I'm so honored to be a part of that bill in any capacity. All those bands that are on there are so great, and I'm excited to see Deftones and Bush and I don't. I think Iron Maiden got taken off. They were on there. I was looking forward to that, but yeah, there's no shortage of good bands on the bill. So
Have you
we're stoked to be hidden in there somewhere.
have you heard the new Deftones record yet?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the 3 songs that they've released.
Okay.
Is the
Yeah.
whole album out now, or?
Yeah, it came out
All right, I gotta go check that out.
so take a second to listen to that. How has home life
Absolutely.
been for you at this point? I mean, you've been home for quite some time. I think if I remember correctly, you've said other places. This is the longest you've been home in a single string of time.
Yeah, in like 14 years. So, it's been a lot of fun actually, getting caught up around the house, doing projects. We have chickens now, doing a lot of gardening, catching up on things that we've been talking about doing that, around the house that just kept getting pushed off because I was, always gone. But that and just honestly, just really getting to wrap my head around this album and where it's headed, with the videos and um, there's so many things that I've got in the works in plans for this record, that probably wouldn't have happened had we just plowed through and gotten the record done earlier in the year. So in a way, it's been a huge blessing in that regard. That man, we're able to really see the full picture here on what we're trying to accomplish, and see that come to fruition. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I think it's going to give the fans even more than we ever anticipated, in the beginning of this process. So that and getting to do more drawing and catch up on Netflix, it's been a lot of fun.
What has been some of your
And
favorite?
spend time, honestly, spending more time with my kids than I've gotten to do in so many years. Getting to really develop those relationships, has been really, really, great for not only myself but for them as well.
Do your kids still find it cool the dad's in a rock band, or are they past that phase in their life?
They're young enough to still think it's cool. The older ones, they're just like, whatever. That's, they kind of grew up in it. But the younger ones, they still think it's very cool. Anything I do, I got a plaque from YouTube recently that we had 1 million subscribers. I didn't even know we had 1 million subscribers. And I got a plaque for it, and that was like the coolest thing to them, more than anything I've ever done. I guess because they follow all these YouTubers and everything, and they're like, "Oh, you're one of them now." So yeah, I think that was more exciting for them than how many records I've sold or whatever.
I've toured with this band, that band. I've sold.
Yeah, they're like, whatever.
Talk to me about your artwork, because I mean, you've done art covers, you've done Comic Con, you do all these things. Do you have anything else coming up that you can talk about at this point, or are you kind of gotta be shush shush?
We just finally. I've been talking about getting my prints up for sale for a long time. The fans have been asking, like, when can I buy your prints? And we finally have those available on our website, on our store now. Um, but yeah, there's some stuff in the works I can't really talk about right now, but very, very exciting stuff. But yeah, that was my passion way before I got into music. I wanted to be a comic book artist, and then when I realized how much I got to sit down 8 hours a day, I'm like, I don't know about that. I got too much. I got to be on the move. Um, and I have so much respect for those guys that whip out pages a day, man. It's Those guys are way more advanced than I'll ever be, but I still have such a love for it, and I love doing a random piece here and there. I'm getting ready. I actually have to do a piece for one of our fans, because one of the prizes on the virtual tour for the top tipper, one of the prizes was to be drawn as a superhero. So I got to do
Oh,
that. I'm preparing for that now, but that's exciting. And I'd like to do more in the future, more covers, maybe even my own book at some point. But that's a lot. I'm one of those people that I can take on one thing at a time. If I'm taking it on, I'm all there for that, and
Mhm.
I can't really focus on something else. But I'm trying to juggle them all these balls in the air.
Yeah, you've mentioned before that you are friends with Jim Lee over
Yeah.
at DC. How did that friendship cultivate? And because I mean, you are such a huge comic book fan, as you mentioned. So how did
Yeah.
that come to be?
Well, we first met through MySpace back in 2008, I believe.
Okay.
And I was like, he was the reason that I wanted to be a comic book artist, and subsequently the reason I chose not to be, because I was never going to be as good as Jim Lee. So why even bother, right? Um, and I reached out to him. I don't even remember how I logged in, because I don't even remember ever using my MySpace, but I used it to find him. This was before Twitter and all that stuff. And he reached out, and we kind of we contacted each other. And next time I was in LA, we hung out, and we just became good buddies. And he ended up doing a lot of the artwork for our second album, Leave This Town. And we've just been family friends ever since, and he's such a great dude. And not only that, but he's kind of been a mentor in regard to my art, and kind of unofficially, like, I'll send him something and he's like, "Yeah, we'll try this. You kind of forgot your perspective here," or whatever. And so he's been pretty integral in that regard, um, in the comic world for me. And he was, obviously the reason I was able to do a cover for Batman.
Mhm.
Without him, that wouldn't have happened. So that was like a thing that I never thought would happen, and it was a huge bucket list item for me. And after that, I was like, I don't even need to do this anymore. I just did a Batman cover. What more do I need? So yeah, but he's an awesome dude, and he kind of got me involved with the fandom that happened recently.
Right.
So yeah, it's fun to be a part of that world. It's such a huge part of me, and to be able to share, my side of, or my music with that side of the world, and that demographic has just been a lot of fun.
As a comic book fan and collector, obviously, everybody who collects has probably one thing in their collection that is like their prized possession. What would you say is yours?
I have the first appearance of Green Goblin signed by Stan Lee.
Wow.
That was a birthday gift from my manager back in the day, so that was a pretty cool thing. Um, and I got X-Men
Oh, giant size one.
Giant Size #1. Yeah.
Oh man, I
Yeah.
held actually. I don't own it. I wish I did, but years ago when I was like maybe like in my early teens, I held the very first X Men number one
Oh,
in the '60s in my hand at a comic shop. The guy,
did you have to wear gloves?
well, they had it in the hard case, graded and everything,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
but he let me hold it. I'm like, oh, if I
And how
had,
much does that go for? What, 500 G's or something like
yeah,
that?
something like that now.
Yeah.
And actually, I have right here. That's a picture of me and Stan Lee together meeting each other when I was
Nice.
12. So I,
Such a cool guy, man.
oh, he
I
was.
had the honor of meeting him a few times, and got to work with him on a couple things that was really cool. Um, the first time we had a meeting, because we were doing this uh, show. He had this whole thing set up for the troops, to benefit the troops, called POW, and it was a thing
Oh
he
yeah.
was doing for wounded warriors. And my first meeting with him, I was running late, and I was leaving a writing session in LA, and I show up, and I'm wearing a Batman shirt. And I look down and I go, "Oh my God, I can't believe I wore this to this meeting." And he said, "It's okay. I've got time. You can go change." Classic Stan Lee.
At least he always had a sense of humor. That is for sure, man. Oh,
Totally.
so outside of working on the album, finish up a few things from home. What else do you got coming up for you in the future here?
That's about it. We gotta, we're already planning our second single, and a video for that. And just working on getting this album done and all the things surrounding that. So, um, and just gearing up for next year and ready to hit the road in person.
Awesome. Well, looking forward to it, and hopefully seeing you on the road when we can do shows
Absolutely.
again.
Yes, I miss it. I miss seeing bands. I miss, just being able to go out and see a band live. It's been crazy. It's the
Yeah.
longest I've gone without being on stage in so long. I'm gonna have to relearn how to do it.
What was the last show you performed? Do you remember it?
Yeah, we were in a casino right outside of Salt Lake City,
Okay.
and it was, we were out on the bus. We were getting ready to do a tour, and obviously Download Fest was part of it, and we were going to be heading overseas, and that was all just the rug got yanked out from under us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still remember my last one. It was December. Obviously you tour. I just see shows here
Yeah,
local.
yeah.
December. I'm like, I can still remember it, and I miss it. It's been almost a year now, and I'm like, oh.
Who was it?
It was the guys in Like a Storm. We had
Oh
them
yeah.
for a Christmas show.
Oh,
Here
awesome.
locally. So yeah, it's been a year, but
Very cool.
looking forward
Wow.
to it all, and appreciate the time, Chris. Very, very
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the beard.
Oh, appreciate all growth. This has been my COVID beard. I have one normally about your size, maybe a little bit shorter. My wife
Yeah.
is actually letting this go. I'm surprised at this point. She's
Yeah,
letting
me
it go.
too. Me too. I remember I've grown it longer before, and she was like, "Can't wait for that to go away." But I think since I grew it and let the gray stay in, I think it's been more attractive to her. So I
Ah,
think it's here to stay.
I'm waiting for the night I wake up. My wife's above me with like the trimmers. I'm like, okay,
And you're like, "What? What are you doing?" I don't know.
all right. Well, hey,
Awesome, man.
man,
Well, great talking to you, man. Thank you so much for the love and support, bro. I appreciate you.
absolutely. Stay on the horn real quick. I'm going to wrap up here and
Cool.
sign off here on the back end. All right. Thanks again to Chris for being a part of the Stylescast. Stay tuned for more episodes. Go to myblownote.com, and we will see you